1.4 is just a few days away, and there are some incredible things to look forward to, namely our newest 5-star character. But the road to this version update was one of the most dramatic we've seen in Wuwa's short history. It's been a few weeks since Kuro made their bombshell announcement on their effort to combat leakers, emphasizing how those individuals' illegal actions had negatively affected both Kuro and the Wuthering Waves community as a whole. This announcement drew a mixed reaction from many members of the community. While most rational individuals understood the reasoning behind Kuro's stance, others felt immense frustration from the idea that they wouldn't be able to preview the newest characters, be it their kit animations or their materials, giving them less time to prepare for their pulls or waveplay constrained resources. Both arguments had their merits, and with the recent pre-release announcements for Camellia, it's clear that Kuro has taken the time to listen to all sides when coming up with their solution, from both their financial analysts and the most vocal members of the free-to-play community. And today, we'll be taking the time to break down how Kuro's fantastically diplomatic approach set a new standard for their character and feature releases. It's clear from the hype and the numbers that there are a lot of people looking forward to this latest update, and all the devs have done is make enjoying this game a lot easier for all its players. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. One of the biggest issues players cited when it came to the plugging of leaks was the lack of information on a character's visuals, kit mechanics, and perhaps most important of all, knowing the nature of time-gated resources in gacha games, their upgrade materials. One of the biggest showstoppers, especially for free-to-play players, was running out of wave plates when grinding for a new unit. This feeling was made worse if you knew that you could have pre-farmed those materials before the character released. What this meant was that leaks, despite their cons, were helpful for those who wanted to get the most out of a new release on day one. Understanding this, Kuro dramatically shifted their release schedule when it came to Camellia. They heard these players' complaints and provided the most pre-release information we've ever seen on a unit. Nobody else, not even Shorekeeper, comes close. With almost a week until launch, Kuro unleashed a barrage of promotional materials, including a combat showcase, her signature weapon's stats and effects, and a fully detailed breakdown of the entirety of Camellia's kit, from its intricate and complex combat mechanics all the way to the exact upgrade materials she'd need to max out her ascension. If this is the approach that Kuro's taking when it comes to new characters, giving them close to an entire week to get oriented with their kit, pre-farm their materials, and learn about their playstyle from their combat showcase, tell me, is there really any use at all for leaked footage or gameplay anymore? You know that all of those numbers will be rebalanced, you know that the gameplay could be revised, and you know that even their upgrade materials could change as well, while it's all in the middle of development. By giving players close to a week to prepare for a release, there's really no excuse at all now for players to feel unprepared. 5 or 6 days is plenty of time to grind out all of these materials, and you know you can trust the gameplay preview that has Kuro Games' stamp of approval, rather than the half-baked, incomplete, and clout-chasing efforts that all of these talentless leakers on X and YouTube insist on pushing out to an audience. Why ruin your first impression of Camellia with all these low-effort compilations when you know that Kuro's going to blow you away with their official materials? Kuro's efforts to upgrade these character releases haven't gone unnoticed, and they've taken a very similar approach to many other features they've added to the game. They directly address player concerns, and a perfect example of how they've done this is with the entirety of the Elusive realm. This game mode's absence in version 1.3 was one of the biggest complaints across the player base and biggest blows to replayability across endgame content, and it's very clear from all the new features and rewards coming with the game mode in 1.4 that this delay was for a good reason. Previous updates to the Elusive realm were consistent, but a little small in scope, with the addition of 1 or 2 echo skills, different events, or a new tile set in the roguelike mode. Players loved this game mode and wanted more reasons and ways to play it, and now 1.4 is coming with the most feature-rich expansion we've ever seen, with an in-depth story integration, a variety of new combat mechanics like Dream Link, and perhaps most importantly of all, complete permanency. This version of the Elusive realm, as a main event, won't expire, and the traditional version of the Elusive realm that requires the main event's completion to start, that one won't expire either. It'll last until the end of the 1.4 patch on January 1st. With these upgrades, Kuro has addressed pretty much every single concern that a player could have had with the Elusive realm. A player forgot that the Elusive realm event ended 4 days before the version and missed out on all the rewards? That That can't be a problem anymore. Players upset that the Elusive realm itself is gone for a patch? That can't happen when the main event is permanent. And people are concerned that the game mode or combat is getting stale? Kuro's already proven they're constantly adding new features to spice up gameplay. They don't waste their development time, and it's clear that they have some of the fastest and hardest working devs in the industry. However, that's not everything when it came to the big upgrades they've been making to the game's systems. They've also been making massive strides in improving 4-star weapons, which have had a terrible reputation since the start of the game. With limited weapon banners completely guaranteed and great standard 5 stars easily accessible, many understood why a lot of the 4-star weapons were, well, complete trash. Options like Lunar Cutter, Helios Cleaver, and Nova Burst were horrible choices if you had any other weapon, primarily due to their awful stats. And with weapons shareable across teams and endgame content, many believed 4-star weapons were just never meant to be used. I made a video on it myself, but then Kuro changed their game, literally. They added the new Black Shores weapon series, fully equipped with best-in-class base attacks across their classes, very general and effective weapon skills, and easy access to one copy through a weapon box. This series was great for closing the gap between 4 and 5 stars, but Kuro went above and beyond in this new version by releasing a new 4-star sword in 1.4, the Somme Noir Anchor. And let me just say, this thing is busted for a 4-star. Huge stacking buffs to attack, and at max stacks, an incredible boost to critical rate, while coming equipped with the same exact base stats as 1.3's weapons. Wuwa released their first event-exclusive weapon, and it's the best 4-star sword in the game that is usable on pretty much every single character, but is easily Camellia's best 4-star weapon. Kuro heard all of the complaints building up across the past 4 versions of the game, and they have hit it out of the park when addressing this one. The last promise from Kuro that I'll mention is one that they made months ago at the launch of the game, and it's been one they've carried forward all the way to the present, and that's their approach to Echo Experience and tuners. Players were short on these resources in 1.0, there's no denying that, but there were still many who spent all of their crystal solvents on tacit fields to grind out endgame gear for their characters. Kuro, instead of punishing these players retroactively by increasing tacit field rewards, instead rewarded players unilaterally by pushing out a massive number of these resources through events, something that they're still doing to this day. This approach, in my opinion, is what set the tone for Kuro as developers. They're constantly trying to address player complaints, but they look for ways to implement them in the most player-friendly way possible. And the results? After nearly 6 months, they've been nothing short of amazing. 1.4 is going to be a masterpiece. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.